Friends, today solve the next 20 questions of 2020 EC question paper of ESET. So this question is 121st question. So we have a circuit and we are supposed to find the current in resistance R2. So here I have two meshes and I can simply apply a KVL here to calculate the current in this resistor. So V minus V1 by 10 is this current. V by 0, V by 2 is this current, and V minus V2 by 10 is this current. And if you apply a KCL, algebraic sum of currents is equal to 0. So here V1 value is given as 10, V2 is given as 40. So V minus 10 by 10 plus V by 2 plus V minus 40 by 10 is equal to 0. Or if I take V common, 1 by 10 plus 1 by 2 plus 1 by 10 is equal to 1 plus 4. So if I take 10 common, 1 plus 5 plus 1 is equal to 5, or V is equal to 5 into 10 divided by 5 plus 2, 7. So V is 50 by 7. Now V is equal to Ohm's law, V is equal to IR. So 50 by 7 is equal to I into R is 2 ohms. So I is equal to 25 by 7, or I can write 3s are 21, 4, 0, 7, 8, 5s are 35. So I will get something. So here, so the answer will be something around 3.55. So this is third option. Next, Thevenin's theorem is true for linear networks. So if you see the definition of Thevenin's theorem, it works only for linear circuit elements and not for non-linear circuits. Next, so here VSWR 3 is given. So we are supposed to calculate the reflection coefficient. So the formula here is this. So tau is 3 minus 1 by 3 plus 1, which is 2 by 4, or reflection coefficient is 1 by 2. Next, alternating current is generally measured by induction type ammeters. So if you see the block diagram of this, so this is an PMMC coil instrument, but simply if you see alternating current is basically related with induction concept. So the answer is induction ammeter. Next question, an ammeter has a resistance of 50 ohms and shunt of 0.1 ohms. So the deflection is theta. Now in this case, if the shunt resistance is increased, what will be the deflection? So simply remember, if the shunt resistance, the deflection is proportional to the shunt resistance. So if it is 0.01 ohm, if it is theta, now if it is increased, then the shunt resistance will be 2 theta. So deflection will be depending upon the shunt resistance. So coming back to the input impedance of a CRO is a measuring device whose input resistance is very high. So if you see all the values, the highest value is 1 mega ohm. Therefore the answer is 1 mega ohm. So CRO has an input range of 1 mega ohm. So simply remember an operational amplifier in this case. So next, Q meter operates on which principles is a very standard question which is being asked. It simply operates on series resonance. So this is your Q meter circuit. So if you observe, this is an inductor, this is a capacitor, and this is a coil which is inductance. So all the three are connected in series. So it works on series resonance. So basically this Q meter is used for measuring the Q factor of the coil, for measuring both inductance, capacitance and resistance, and it is also called as RLC meter. So it operates in radio frequency. So next, a voltmeter using thermocouples is used for measuring. So see all the four options: RMS value, peak value, average value and peak to peak. It is root mean square value. So I'll tell you why exactly it is. So if you observe the block diagram of this, so here the concept of thermocouple comes in exactly here. So thermocouple, if it is associated and there is a balancing thermocouple associated, it is to find the true root mean square value in voltage measurement. Next, so here if the full scale deflection current of a multimeter is 50 microampere, what is the sensitivity? So we have a simple formula which is 1 by I. So here it is 1 by 50 microamperes, which is 1 by 50 into 10 power minus 6, or I can simply write it is 10 power 6 by 50. So which is nothing but 10 power 3, which is 1000 into 10 power 3 divided by 50. 50 2s are, or I can simply write 20k. Here the units will be ohm per volts because it is sensitivity, because the factor is 1 by A. So simply remember, sensitivity is nothing but 1 by the deflection, full scale deflection current. Next, for a display pattern or signal pattern, which type of voltage is applied to a CRO, this is also very standard question. And here the answer is sawtooth waveform. So when you apply a sawtooth waveform, the typical voltage applied to horizontal plates of a CRO will be displaying a pattern. So see this. So this is a block diagram of a CRO. So just as a matter of revision, so you have your input signal applied to a voltage amplifier, then provide to a delay gun, and the trigger circuit along with the time base and horizontal amplifier are connected to the horizontal deflection plates, whereas vertical deflection plates are connected to the delay line. So here the voltage V is applied as a ramp signal to the horizontal plates. Next, so the material used to coat inside the faces of CRT screen, very standard question. Phosphorus is mainly used, neither carbon or sulfur nor silicon. So this is also a standard bit which is asked in many number of questions exams. So the face plate is measured in centrifuge, inside is coated with phosphor material. See it, phosphor material is coated here. This is what you are supposed to remember. So also just remember what are the parts. So you have a cathode electron gun and an anode. You have an electron beam which is being reflected inside a vacuum tube. Next, so a cathode ray display, if you observe here, you have options like only AC, DC. If you use it in a lab, you can be able to measure both AC and DC signals. So cathode rays is used for everything, both AC and DC signals. Next, an ideal ammeter resistance will be 0. This is also a standard question. So an ideal ammeter should have 0 resistance, whereas an ideal ohm meter will be having a infinite resistance. Now what is the need of having a 0 resistance is when it is connected in series, its resistance must not add to the circuit. That is why you must have an ideal 0 resistance. It must not add to the resistance of the circuit. Otherwise, if there is any resistance, it will add to the circuit and the meter reading will be wrong in nature. Similarly, a voltmeter, ideal voltmeter must have infinite resistance so that no current will flow into the resistance because it is infinite and your reading will not be affected. So for a SCR to remain in on or conducting state, gate signal is continuously required. No, there is no need for continuous signal, and this is also a wrong option. So we'll discuss about this in the next topics. So a dual converter is a converter in which there are two full converters which are in anti-parallel configuration. So not half converters or not in series combination. So see this. So this is one converter and it is anti, this is other converter. So dual converters will be having two full converters, but the configuration is converted in anti-parallel combination. Okay. Next, IGBT and BJT both they both have one common feature, which is low on-state power losses and none of these options, not switching losses or high input impedance. So see this. So low on-state power loss is one of the best parameters of both IGBT and BJT. So remember this, low on-state power loss. So in IGBT, the P plus layer is connected to the collector terminal and this is called injection layer. It is not drift, body layer or current collect layer. So see this diagram. So see the P plus layer connected to the terminal. So P plus layer, it is called injecting layer, whereas N plus is called buffer layer, N minus is called drain drift region, P is called third junction. Next, so the voltage in a single phase half wave inverter varies between, so single phase it is given and it is a half wave, it is simply Vs by 2 to minus Vs by 2. So see the circuit diagram. So this is a single phase half bridge inverter. So see the values of Ig1 and Ig2. The values will always make sure the voltage will be fluctuating between minus Vs by 2 to plus Vs by 2. So the student has to remember the diagram of half wave bridge inverter. So what exactly is a chopper? So as the definition of chopper indicates, it will be converting a DC to DC signal, neither of this. So small question, DC to AC converter and AC to DC converter. So what exactly is an oscillator and what exactly is an rectifier is a question which can be asked in the next exam. So that's for you. So next question. So what exactly is a cycloconductor? It is not related to power, voltage or two-stage voltage. It is only a frequency converter. So this is a simple diagram of chopper which will be converting DC to DC signal. So next, cycloconverter. It will be converting a fixed voltage and fixed frequency AC power to a variable voltage. So V will be varying and frequency will be varying. Okay, so see this diagram. This is the input AC voltage with frequency 0. So you will be having these two types of outputs with two different inputs. So in first case will be the frequency is halved. In the other case the frequency is quarter of the frequency. Just remember, cycloconverter will affect both the voltage and frequency of the signal. Next, so the single phase midpoint type cycloconverter uses how many number of SCRs? It will be using 4 SCRs. You just see the block diagram. So see how many SCRs? 1, 2, 3, 4. So this circuit is somewhat similar to your full wave rectifier with SCR combination. So you will be having 4 SCRs in cycloconverter. Next, so a wide strain gauge has a gauge factor of 2 and resistance of 125 ohms and length. So gauge factor, resistance, length are given. So if the length of the wire changes by 0.05, what will be the change in the resistance? So gauge factor is 2, R is 125, length is 1 meter and delta L is 0.005 meter. So he's asking what is delta R. So the formula is gauge factor is delta R by R is equal to delta L by L. So delta R by R divided by delta L by L is equal to your gauge factor. So you can write 2 is equal to delta R by 125 divided by delta L, which is 0.005, divided by L is 1 meter. You can simply write 2 is equal to delta R by 125 into 1 divided by 0.005, or I can write delta R is equal to 250 into 0.005, or I can simply sum it up to this value, because 5 into 25 is 125. The value nearest is 1.25. So next question, LVDT. So LVDT windings are wounded on which type of material? It is nothing but ferrite. So LVDT, see the diagram. So if you observe, windings are wound on ferrite core. Next, so the ratio between modulating voltage to carrier voltage is called, this is a direct formula of modulation index or M. So very standard question. So modulation index direct formula AM by AC, or sometimes it is written as VM by VC. So it is also sometimes called as beta. So just simply remember modulated voltage by modulated VC. So next, what exactly is over modulation? If you remember the diagram of this, you can simply remember when the modulating signal voltage is greater than carrier signal, it is called over modulation. See this condition. So when modulation index is greater than 1 or your VM is greater than VC, you have this concept of over modulation, and there is a reversal of phase and with distortion. So these 3 points are to be remembered by the student. Next, for 100% modulation, what is the power in each sideband? So PT is equal to PC into 1 plus mu square by 2 is the formula. So here PC is your carrier power and PT is PC into mu square by 2 is the sideband power. So if you observe, so in the lower sideband, so this is made into two parts, lower sideband and upper sideband. So I will be sharing it as mu square by 4 into PC plus mu square by 4 into PC. Now here it is given mu is 100%. Therefore I can simply see, if I substitute mu is equal to 1, I will be left with 1 by 4 into PC, which means only 25% of the carrier power is in the sideband. So here you can have the formula. So when it is full modulated 100%, with 100% modulation, sidebands will be having only quarter or 1/4 of the carrier power. So what exactly is the next question? So what is the maximum power efficiency of an AM modulator? So if you remember the percentage of transmission efficiency, it is nothing but m square divided by 2 plus m square into 100. So if I simply remember, if my modulation index is 100%, or I can simply say it is 1.0, it is 1 divided by 2 plus 1 into 100, which is 1/3. So I can say the maximum power efficiency in an AM modulator is 33%. So what exactly is the benefit of AM over FM? So what is the disadvantage of FM over AM? It is simply the large bandwidth. Practically it is very high, or theoretically it is infinite in nature. So if you see the bandwidth formula, it is 2fm into beta plus 1 as per Carson's theorem, whereas in AM it is just 2 times fm. So in case of fm it is 2 beta plus 1 into fm. So it has very high or infinite bandwidth. So all the remaining 3 are not disadvantages. So the bandwidth of an AM signal. So the next question. So here it is given, if the AM modulating signal, the modulating frequency of a carrier wave varies between 700 Hz to 7 kHz. So here you have to find out simply find out the bandwidth generally is 2 times fm. So here the signal is from 700 to 7 kilohertz. This is one side positive axis and the other side negative axis. So 700 minus 7000 hertz minus 700 is 6300 hertz. Similarly, the replica is another 6300 hertz. You can simply add it up, and to make it is 12600 or 12.6 K. Next, so what is the audio range? Audio frequency range. Humans generally talk at this particular frequency 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz. So this is the human audible range. So below 20 it is 20 hertz, it is in infrasound, and above 20k it is ultrasound. Remember these both keywords. So we'll stop it here.